It's time now to review headlines on today's newspapers with the Ombudsman of This Day and Arise Media Group and This Day Newspapers Limited's Group Executive Director, Kayode Komolafe. Good morning, KK.
Good morning, Steve.
Good to have you.
Good morning, Angie.
Good morning, Mr. Komolafe.
How are you today?
Good, thank you. Yeah.
So we dive straight into the Sunday tonic, and we start with This Day on Sunday. The lead headlines here says APC kicks as PDP says Tinubu's emergence as candidate invalid, and the Riders opposition party insists ruling party has no plan for Nigeria. Sorry. APC to inaugurate women campaign cancel. Other stories, particularly the one on top of the lead, INEC, we have ended era of election rigging in Nigeria, says no one can vote twice again. And on top of the masthead, economists raise concern over federal government's 2023 spending plan. That's a story on page 6 of today's This Day. And on the window, Irabo Kyari vow to unmask operators of illegal crude oil trunk line in Delta. That story is on page 5 of today's newspaper. Last but not the least, at Idil Malud, Buhari, Atiku, Lawan, governors, others preach peaceful coexistence. But I think, KK, that we shouldn't also ignore the cover picture, which
story.
has the governor of Massachusetts, our own dear Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, and the Labour Party candidate, Peter Obi, in Harvard, where Peter Obi gave a speech, but more importantly, where Chimamanda was honored with Harvard's highest honor, which is the W.E.B. Du Bois Medal for that university. So I think that congratulations are in order.
I am so proud of Chimamanda. Congratulations to her.
It looks like it's something about that thing around her neck. She keeps winning more laurels and more laurels, every time. Congratulations to her. Those are the stories, KK.
Yeah. You guys are indeed correct, to say that congratulations to be in order. Great sister, Chimamanda. She's doubtless, Nigeria's pride and joy, for being the Du Bois medalist. The two political stories on the front page of This Day could be taken together. One is the assurance from INEC that the era of rigging is gone. The hope that this promise being made by INEC, that will be a promise kept. And in doing so, all the stakeholders, the politicians, the political parties, the candidates, and all the other agencies that support the process of credible election will work towards making that particular realize that is that you'll be able to conduct free and fair and peaceful elections in Nigeria. The other story, the PDP saying that APC has no candidates in the election. 2 points just to be pointed out, and they are related. One is that determining the candidature of a candidate is not a matter for that can be resolved by a statement by a party publicist. So no publicist determines who is a candidate, who is not a candidate. But then it's the season. This is the era of tirades.
Is a reference to the Buni-led.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's a legal issue. Yeah. So I'm saying that it is not the place of PDP or its publicists to determine whether another party has candidate. But again, it's understood that this is a political season where people are throwing tirades. That a statement from the publicity office of PDP is not enough to determine who is a candidate, who is not a candidate. Yeah. But related to that is perhaps that the politicians and the political parties should be admonished on this point. That unwittingly, what this kind of statement is promoting is the undermining of the political process. That is, giving legitimacy to a subversion of the people's will. Because increasingly now we don't see the situation whereby it is the party that will determine who is the party chairman, who is not the party chairman. It is the court. That is ultimately in most cases it's the court that will determine who is a party official. when you go into primaries, in some cases, it is the party that, you still go to the court to determine who is the candidate.
Yes.
Like you're having many litigations.
Absolutely.
Even after you must have contested the election, in most cases, the final vote, counting of the vote is done in the courtroom, especially when it goes to the Supreme Court, So to determine who is the winner, who is not the winner, it will be how many of the justices of the Supreme Court, will vote in favor of the candidates. That in itself is something, that should worry everybody. That is not the spirit of democracy.
Right.
Democracy is about the will of the people. That people, determine this. It is. Like somebody said. It is not courtocracy. So you should be able to determine the outcome of election at the polling booth. And not. So when politicians, on all sides, encourage that ultimately it is the court that will determine the result of election. And much less who is even the leader of a party. It is unhealthy, in democratic terms. That is the point that should be stressed in that.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And by the way, that story, the story of PDP statement,
yes.
You also have it on the front pages of other newspapers.
Other newspapers.
Punch,
that's
Nation, and all that.
Okay.
The same story.
That's right.
All right, let's quickly move over to This Day Style, where the cover star there is Busola Teju Mola. Who is the executive head of content and West Africa channels. She had the interview with Funke Basi, and you talked about breaking new grounds and frontiers in storytelling. She and her team has successfully led, the rebirth of one of the most sought-after watch show in Nigeria, which is the Big Brother Naija. She's done really well, and she talked a lot about, her role at MultiChoice and the future of cable TV and the rise of streaming platforms.
I'm sure it will be an interesting read.
Yes.
Busola is a, smart, cute, intelligent.
Cute.
Look at this picture, isn't it? But beautiful, absolutely. And an example of women doing great, particularly in the media.
Absolutely.
In the media space, and I'm sure that it will be a good read. Is it who conducted the interview?
Funke
Babs
Skufeji. Funke Babs Skufeji. Well done.
Good hands
This Day Style team. Yes, good one. Should we move over to the Sunday Tribune, or do you want to take the Nation?
Yes, let's do
the Sunday
Tribune.
The lead story there. 2023, APC has no legally valid candidate. It's the PDP,
that's what
which is what KK
referred
said.
to.
Right.
The Nation also has the same thing.
Same story. What does that line say?
PDP, APC trade punches as Tinubu Atiku begin campaigns.
Now, the writers on the Sunday Tribune asked Tinubu to go home, face his issues. APC has no plan for Nigeria, says Anyago. Atiku is my candidate, says Ikpeazu. 16 APC ward chairmen defect to PDP in Sokoto. 16. Atiku reported 143 last week. He sent me some of those videos, Mr. Komolafe, I saw that. And then another story there, 76 missing in Anambra boat incident, 18 killed in Niger flood. This is so sad, this story. Also with the flooding that we see in Kogi because of the river Niger and breaking their banks. Have you seen those videos and the disaster in Kogi State at this
humanitarian
point?
disaster.
Huge disaster.
Kogi needs help.
Yeah.
Kogi needs prayers.
Yes.
It's probably unprecedented because what we see, houses submerged and everything.
Yeah.
And strange that the governor is not speaking directly to that issue. But
he did go visit some of the communities, I believe, last week.
His voice appears to be louder on the Obajana Dangote issue, than the fact that, almost
that made
half
headlines.
Yes, that's what I mean. Yes, he has visited.
That made headlines.
They say
it's
it
here
takes 20
hours
from Lokoja to Abuja now, instead of the usual, was it 4 or 5 hours or so?
Right. Another story above the masthead there. 2023 budget proposal, presidency to spend 251 million naira on tires for bulletproof vehicles. NAS gets 169 billion naira, judiciary 150 billion naira, while INEC gets 50 billion naira. Mr. Komolafe,
yes,
over to you.
Indeed, what is unfolding in Kogi State and on other parts of the country.
Even Anambra, I'm told.
Yes, it's a real humanitarian disaster, you know. Lest it becomes a catastrophe. That's what help should come. While calling on the federal agencies, you know, that in charge of disaster management, you know, and alleviation to step in, and other stakeholders too, you know. It's not only the federal government. You know, other states, you know, can also, you know, show solidarity. You know, NGO, the private sector, you know, and the rest, because we are talking of real human suffering, you know, that is taking place. People have been displaced, people have become homeless, and in very desperate situations, you know, that they need. But then, while saying that, it's important to stress this point, that to the credit of the relevant agencies, you know, namely, you know, in charge of, you know, prediction, you know, of flood, you know,
yes,
give quite, you know, precise scientific predictions, you know, that this will happen.
Yes,
you know, and months ahead. Yes, if you go back, you know, earlier in the year, you know, 3 months, 6 months ago, all these things were predicted, you know. Now it is important that it should be stressed that when you have, you know, that kind of prescription, state governments, you know, local governments, you know, should be able to mobilize people to comply, you know,
evacuation
and to
plans and everything.
Exactly. So if you cannot stop a building being submerged, yes, well, you should be able to save human beings. That no human being gets drowned.
Yeah.
You know, if you cannot move the building, we should be able to move, you know, human beings, you know, out of, you know, the danger. You know. Yeah. I think that point should be stressed, because if you go back to those predictions, I mean, this may not be the end of it. You know,
no.
You know, flood, you know, flash floods, you know, are still being expected in some parts of the country later this month and even early next month.
Look at this morning's rain, for example.
Exactly.
I mean, that was quite heavy. You know, in Lagos, you can imagine other parts of the country.
So while we may not be able to do anything with the force of nature, but the human factor, that's what we should do as human beings, you know, at the level of policy.
That's right.
The nation, you know, shouldn't be helpless.
Yes.
As we are now in Kogi and some other places.
Okay, we have just 1 more minute to go. There is a budget story there, and I think that maybe we can just look at the Guardian and the Nation on what they have to. The lead headline in the Guardian says 2023 budget spurious, filled with unrealistic targets, say experts. While on the window of the Nation, it says 2023 budget, federal government to settle local contractors' debt with 25 billion naira. If we add that to the fact that a certain amount in millions will be spent on changing tires.
251 million.
251 million in changing tires. It looks like, you know, there will be many areas of interrogation, you know, on this budget, 20-point-something trillion, the biggest so far, but then we'll be borrowing more than 8 trillion, you know, to make the budget happen.
But mind you, Steve, you know that if 20 economists are looking at the budget, you end up with 20 views. You know? So there's nothing sacrosanct about the view of any economist or any expert, you know, because others may see differently. Because, for instance, you pointed out on the story on the front page of the Nation, you know, if you allocating money to settle local contractor.
Yes.
I think that is a good one.
That's a good one, actually.
Because when you settle, I mean, that money
a lot of people will be happy.
Economy, I mean, those contractors are employed people. Maybe they are owing their worker salaries and they're able to pay. So there is nothing with I'm not an economist, but there's nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely. This we celebrate. The entire one we don't know.
I'm not an economist, and I don't have the budget.
This government will only be there to implement this budget up to the half of the
end of May. That's correct.
So we grant them the luxury of making unrealistic prognosis.
Thank you so much, Mr. Komolafe. We'll see you next week.
We'll see you next Sunday. Thank you. And that brings us to the end of the morning show today. Thank you for watching, and do stay safe. I'm Steve Ayorige.
And I am Oji Yokwe. For my entire team here in Lagos, Nigeria, enjoy the rest of your morning and, of course, the rest of your day. Goodbye.